Hello, Feuzion. My name is Alex Fuse, the host of Fusion News, and I am on the phone right now with CBS Sports WWE reporter and boxing reporter Brian Campbell. So, Brian, I haven't talked to you in a while. We have a lot to talk about. I know you were at WrestleMania. I have not talked to you since the week leading up to Mania. So, I have to ask you first, how are you doing, and how was that trip down to WrestleMania this year?
Doing great, Alex. Thanks for having me back on, man. It was, considering that was my first WrestleMania, not just as a journalist, but just attending in person, it was pretty overwhelming. It was one heck of a show. An enduring show, as I'm sure you can recall, being 7+ hours. But, yeah, that WrestleMania was definitely one I'll remember for a lot of reasons.
Did you pop really loud for the new tag team champions, the Hardy Boys?
Absolutely. And it was funny because, on the drive in, literally waiting in line to get into the parking lot, with my fellow coworkers at CBS, sort of saying, what's the biggest surprise? What's going to be that moment? And we were all pretty much convinced, despite some of the teasing online rumors, that the Hardy thing just wasn't going to happen. I thought they pulled it off well because a lot of people know the Hardys were booked in indie shows that whole weekend. And even leading up to their appearance, they were booked in like a parking lot barbecue sort of promotional event. It didn't seem like an hour later they would be coming into that ladder match and then, to go over and win the belt. So that proved to be really the standout pop moment. Outside of the Undertaker moment, which is the one you'll remember in terms of, WrestleMania 33, the iconic moment, I think that Hardy pop was one you won't forget for just getting that old school feel back.
So, Brian, I have you on my show today to talk about this Sunday night Backlash, a SmackDown exclusive WWE pay-per-view. How are you feeling about this pay-per-view? I think this is a very good card, even though the women's match I'm not really too excited for, and I think you aren't that excited for it either. But overall, this card looks very good. We have, Styles and Owens going at it. We also have Jinder Mahal and Orton in the main event. So it's going to be a very entertaining show, I think, right?
I think there's some potential specifically in those top-end cards. I mean, there's 3, maybe even 4 matches that have a main event feel to them. So that's a good thing. I think the bad thing is it's really just not all that balanced. I mean, really the bottom half of that card, the first 4 or 5 matches, really below par, below average for me. And I think, you hit the nail on the head with the one I'm most disappointed for is that 6-man women's match where it looked like, wow, we were on to something. We were on to the beginning of a Charlotte Flair and Naomi feud on the SmackDown title level. Everything looked great. We'll probably still get there in the end, but for right now, it feels like a major step back to sort of, mix up a random 6-man tag with a faction, the welcoming community that nobody wants. So there's some good and bad potential in this card. I can see it being one that overachieves, and I equally could see it one where we shake our head by the end of it.
Now, I was thinking, I saw somewhere online that people are hoping that Charlotte, of course, turns heel again on this show, really saying this was only just a short-term babyface turn. And I'm kind of hoping for potentially maybe seeing Charlotte attack Natalya and swapping them, and maybe seeing in the future a Natalya and Charlotte feud again.
It's an interesting thought. I think the only problem against that is they had done it recently. It feels like the most recent of all the available feuds for Charlotte when you look at the other 5 women in that match, which is essentially the entire SmackDown women's stable, mind you. But I think the idea of her going back heel makes a ton of sense. I mean, Charlotte turning face out of nowhere really didn't make a lot of sense considering her first night on SmackDown Live. She's received as a heel. It's what she does best, coming out on any show and saying, I demand a title shot. This is my new show. That's a heel move. We all know that. So the sudden turn babyface, again, really wasn't feeling it. She even admits herself in interviews outside the ring that the babyface role doesn't fit her because what's her character? Her character is someone who proclaims to be genetically superior. It's a cocky heel move. I think we'll end up seeing her in that. I just think they're trying to tell a longer story with her and Naomi, and they did this route to try to get as many women over in a short period of time as they can. But when you marginalize people into marginalized roles, you're not always giving them a chance to get over. I think, if you split up this 6-man and put 2 of the women in maybe a little bit more of a juicier setup, I think you'd have a better chance. But look, Alex, I've been sitting by my phone for 38 years. They still haven't called me to join the creative team. So what do I know, right?
Yeah, that's true. And we'll switch gears and talk the tag team SmackDown Live tag team championship match between the Usos and Breezango. And now I'm really excited for this match. Now, Brian, would it be out of the ordinary for Breezango to have an upset win against the Usos?
I think in this case, I'd be a little bit surprised. I think you commend WWE, specifically SmackDown, the land of opportunities, not just a cheesy tagline. It seems to mean something for, I want to say, giving Breezango something to do. I mean, they're overachieving with this Fashion Files comedic gimmick. You're also taking guys who can work. I mean, they can. Look, if you're gonna add up all the guys on the lower to mid area on the card, call them jobbers, call them whatever you want. These Tyler Breeze and Fandango, two of the better workers in that category. Give them something to do, but no, don't give them the belts yet. The reason why is because these heel Usos, this rebranded, this day one-ish, if you will, Alex, is really great stuff. They showed you in that short American Alpha feud when winning the titles that they might be the best tag team in terms of in-ring work. And we don't say that enough because I don't think they're put into situations enough to really show that, to overachieve, to give you those type of matches. When you consider that the New Day is now on this roster, we haven't seen them yet. We know Kofi's been injured. Maybe they're getting a little bit of a relaxed break after WrestleMania, a month off, if you will. New Day, Usos, American Alpha, these are money feuds. I think you keep the belts on the Usos, but, congrats to Tyler Breeze and Fandango for doing something with their character right now.
Now, you just mentioned the New Day, and I'm going to oppose you, so to say, in this corner with this decision to keep the belts on the Usos. I'm going to say it's going to be an upset win for Breezango, and the reason for this, I did some research. Back when the New Day first won the title that, lasted the longest ever reigning tag team champions in history, they actually defeated Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. And Tyson Kidd and Cesaro were the top babyface tag teams, and they were very good together. Now, I'm saying maybe the New Day were not over at this time. So maybe we'll see Breezango get the titles, and maybe we'll see them become the popular tag team like the New Day have become.
It's an interesting dilemma you present, and I think you only have to look back to really just Rhino and Heath Slater, right?
Yeah.
You give them a chance. The crowd gave more of a response than I'm sure WWE accepted. They overachieved. They had a run on top. It worked out. Heath Slater's still getting big pops when they do use him on TV. We'll see how it plays out because, like you said, the New Day's coming back. They're going to be a part of something big. Could Breezango be the transitional handoff to the New Day? We don't know, but I'm just looking forward to get those guys back on the screen.
Definitely. And we'll switch gears to the United States Championship match. The face of America, Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. I think this match will steal the night. Maybe Jinder Mahal and Orton will steal the night. Maybe these two are the top matches on the card of the night. What do you think about this match?
I think everything you just said right there. I mean, wrestling-wise, this is the one you want to watch. This is the one. Look, the reason why you want to watch it is because on the SmackDown brand, these are your two best performers. There's no question about it. Should they be in the WWE Championship title picture? 100%. It's a little bit questionable is a bad word, but it's a little bit like, what are we doing here? Why are these guys on the U.S. title run? Maybe as a fan, you just go, I don't have an answer, but let me enjoy anyway. And they're going to give you probably a match that you can enjoy. How they transition out of that, though, I think is going to be interesting. I mean, I think Kevin Owens retains the belt here. I think that makes sense. You keep him strong as a heel. You let him cheat to win so AJ doesn't get brought down a notch. But are you really just going through the motions here in Owens Styles to set up where the loser spins off into a WWE Championship run against the winner of Sunday's main event? Maybe. But then again, why do you want to just, stay busy with these two top stars? I just don't know if you can sustain a long program with these two with just the U.S. Championship at stake. It leaves a lot of questions to be answered, but I think they'll give you what you want from inside the ring. And the fact that AJ is a babyface right now, it just works so much better for me. Very interested to see where this goes.
Now, Brian, we also have the debut of Shinsuke Nakamura in a WWE ring. We, of course, saw him in NXT taking on Dolph Ziggler. I think this match as well could be a top match to seal the show. The debut of Nakamura. What do you think of this match?
I think WWE's put a lot of pressure on themselves to make this match matter, to make it entertaining, because they decided to keep Nakamura off TV throughout this entire build. And look, I watch NXT. I assume you do too. We know everything there is to know about Shinsuke. A lot of us have seen him wrestle in Japan, but there are a lot of people who don't watch beyond Raw, even don't watch, even SmackDown. So there's a large part of this audience that don't know who he is. They've heard the name, they've seen a picture, they've seen a video. They don't really know who this guy is. Have WWE presented him in the best light? I'm going to say no in the build-up to this. I think he's been a little bit too cheesy. It's been a little bit too much the artist instead of, you know what he really is inside the ring? Yeah, he's got the Michael Jackson look. He does the creepy moves. But he's a stiff, strong performer who gives you MMA-inspired real moves in there. Mixes in the flair, mixes in the show. I think there's been too much show in the build-up, and it's put him off as creepy. They can come back and win you over, though, by giving you a good match. If you're going to ask the opponent in this spot, I think there's no one better than Dolph Ziggler, because you're going to have to sell. You're going to have to sell these stiff moves believably. I think the new heel version of Dolph sets it up where, you know, I can see him going over here. I can see him cheating to win. It creates a bad luck situation for Nakamura, and it spins off into a feud. I just want to come out of Sunday in this specific match not being disappointed, because I think sometimes you only get one chance to make a first impression when you're debuting a character. You want to debut this guy right because he's special. But when the only time you put him out there to talk, he's got a mouthpiece in his mouth and he's giggling, that's not the Nakamura we know, right? Give us the mysterious physical Nakamura. I want to come out of this match feeling good.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And we'll wrap up here the main event of this Backlash pay-per-view. Randy Orton versus the new #1 contender who's never been in a main event before, Jinder Mahal. What do you think about this match? Of course, it's for the WWE title. You know, it's kind of interesting that Jinder Mahal just got thrown right in there when potentially maybe Baron Corbin could have been in a better position for this match. But what do you think? Do you think Jinder Mahal could potentially steal the show?
No, I don't. I really, you know, I don't want to be negative about this because I was one of the people that cheered this idea right away. Because, look, I like when there's an upset, if you will, and him even being on the title level was an upset. I like when there's a rewarding of hard work, and we know that this is the second time around for Jinder on the roster. He's in incredible shape. He's working hard. It reminds me of, you know, Zack Ryder just 2 WrestleManias ago when they gave him the title for one night. It was a reward for hard work. I'm down for that. I'm not down for how Jinder has sort of digressed the last few weeks when given the ball. You want to see somebody run with it. I feel like he's only giving you an average performance. And that, look, Alex, that's the reality. He's an average performer. Average performers don't work well in the main event. So they got an uphill battle here because Randy, for how great he is, he's a legend, he's all those things. He's not the type of A-side that's going to bring certain things out of his opponents, though. And I think it's a little bit of a warning sign that this past week on SmackDown, Jinder's match with AJ Styles, I mean, everybody has a great match with AJ Styles. Well, Jinder did not have a good one this week, and that was a real warning sign that, wow, even AJ's not pulling a great match out of him. I mean, there's only so much negative you can say. I think there's potential that there's good things if Jinder goes over because WWE's always trying to get in new markets. There's a thriving new market in India. This could be something good for them. I wouldn't even be against giving it a try. I want to say, better booking that would hide Jinder's limitations in there. I need some more. I need some nastiness. I need more cheating. I need foreign objects. I need more of those type of promos that's anti-American, that's angry, that draws real heat. Alex, real heat can cover up for the fact that you're not great in the ring, or maybe you're not perfect on the microphone. But we need a little bit more of that because Jinder on his own is not selling it. I still think he can go over. I still think in a transitional situation, I still think they've got a plan. I just hope they execute it right. I think Randy was the wrong pick in this spot. I don't expect a great match. I just hope that the ending, the storyline really makes sense when it all comes together.
I totally agree with that. And I have not been on the phone with you since after WrestleMania when they did the whole new draft, shake-up, the Superstar shake-up, so to say, as they called it. And you know, this is the first SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view since WrestleMania. And 2 weeks ago, we had the first Raw exclusive pay-per-view. So early grades for this new Superstar shakeup.
It's still a little bit incomplete. I think, though, that I give them props for essentially evening out the rosters this time. I thought the moves that they did make, you know, specifically Bliss to Raw, Charlotte to SmackDown, the women's side, KO to SmackDown, I think these were strong moves. So I think they're well set up for the future. It's hard to tell right away because that first month was a weird mix of mail-in hangover from WrestleMania. I don't like the first Raw exclusive pay-per-view, you know, was half filled with current SmackDown members on the right. It just didn't make a lot of sense. I don't like when storylines continue past WrestleMania because, look, that's the ultimate blow-off. On your calendar, creative calendar, that's December. That's the end of your year. So it's still a little bit incomplete, but yeah, they are currently set up to do good things in the future. You just got to do them, right? The tools, the pieces are there. You just got to match them up together. I mean, how disappointing was the end of that Orton-Wyatt feud? And everything I just said about Jinder, to transition out of Orton-Wyatt into Orton-Jinder, maybe that's the wrong time to roll that one out.
Yep, totally agree. And final question here. Of course, the fan favorite Chris Jericho has left the WWE. Do you know or think potentially we may see or be able to see Chris Jericho again in a WWE ring?
Yeah, I think it. Look, I think his idea was to be a part-timer. I mean, this is the same guy who came back in 2014, 2015, comes back for 3, 4, 5 months. I just think that this most recent time around, he exploded. I mean, he added a few catchphrases. The old catchphrases were popping. It was the right time. It was a perfect storm. He was in great shape from that DDP yoga. You know, he'll say to himself, he did not expect to be on the road for that long, for essentially what amounts to a little bit more than a year. It was one of the best runs of his career, but he's got a lot going on. He's got the podcast, he's got the full-time band, Feuzion. They're coming out with the new single that you've seen on WWE program. You see them pushing that out there. Let him take his break, let him take his rest. But when you're in that good of a shape at 46, you're going to want to come back for something big. I love that his most recent reinvention prove that he can be back on the main event or co-main event level, because I think the most recent time he had come back before that, do you remember when he was sort of the surprise 6-man tag guest in the summer of 2015 in a big match? It was he got booed. It was not the best situation. It just wasn't great. It was sort of, okay, we got old Chris Jericho. It's no longer old Chris Jericho. It's now the Chris Jericho of old that we see, and that's a good thing. I think that he'll come back to a larger explosion of cheers than maybe he has in a long time. So you'll see him. You'll see him again eventually.
Okay, the Brian Campbell, I want to say thank you for joining me on Feuzion News to talk some Backlash and WWE news. And where can the fans follow you on Twitter and listen to the new podcast over there at CBS?
Yeah, I appreciate the plug. Yeah, at B Campbell CBS on Twitter. Real excited about the new podcast, In This Corner with Brian Campbell. Weekly breakdowns of all things WWE, as well as a separate fight week pod focusing on either boxing or MMA. Some weeks we get all 3 sports, 3 separate pods. Very busy, a lot of good audio content. We're coming for you. We're coming for your free time. We're coming for those eardrums. Alex, we're taking over. All right, well, one show at a time. Maybe that's a little too harsh. Well, I'm coming for you though. Believe that.
Okay. Thank you again, Brian, for coming on my show, and hope to talk to you very soon.
Anytime. Good to hear from you, man.
Thank you. Okay, Fusation, thank you for watching this Feuzion News video. I'll be back here live on YouTube very soon. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at AlexFuse, and I will be seeing you very soon. Thanks for watching.